3 months after the Great Revelation, the galaxy had settled into its new reality. Admiral Kate Sullivan stood before the reformed Galactic Council as Earth's primary representative, no longer hiding behind masks of weakness and humility. The council chambers had been redesigned to include human seating, and the discussions now included humanity as an equal voice in galactic affairs. The three alien empires had learned painful lessons about the cost of underestimating any species. The Zephyrian Dominion had restructured their military doctrine to account for human tactical capabilities. The Nixari Consortium had completely rebuilt their trade agreements to offer fair partnerships instead of exploitative contracts. The Valdris Commonwealth had opened their ancient libraries to human scholars, finally acknowledging that their newest member species had wisdom to offer. Commander Jake Harrison guided the UES Liberty through normal space on patrol duty near the outer colonies. His ship was no longer hidden beneath the desert, but flew openly as a symbol of human strength and determination. The crew consisted of volunteers from across human space, men and women who had answered the call to serve their species with pride and honor. Jake watched his tactical display as merchant ships from dozens of species moved through the trade routes that humans now helped to protect. The galaxy had become a safer place since humanity revealed its true capabilities. Pirates and raiders who had once terrorized civilian shipping now thought twice before attacking vessels under human protection. Captain Lisa Morgan supervised the construction of new shipyards in orbit around Earth's moon. These facilities were built in the open, their existence broadcast to the galaxy as proof of humanity's technological advancement. The ships being built here incorporated the best features of human and alien design, creating vessels that were faster and more powerful than anything seen before. The Luna shipyards employed workers from many different species, all of them earning fair wages for their labor. The alien engineers who had once looked down on human technology now studied human innovations with respect and curiosity. The collaborative projects produced breakthroughs that benefited everyone involved. Dr. Amy Foster led the new Xenological Institute, where humans and aliens work together as equals to share knowledge and advance scientific understanding. The Institute's laboratories buzzed with activity as researchers from different worlds combined their expertise to solve problems that had puzzled scientists for generations. Amy walked through the research halls, observing joint teams working on quantum physics projects that would have been impossible without cooperation between species. A Valdris physicist worked alongside a human engineer to develop new propulsion systems. A Nixari computer specialist collaborated with human programmers to create artificial intelligence systems that surpassed anything either species could build alone. Dr. Foster called a young researcher named Kevin, who had joined the Institute after graduating from Earth's Naval Academy. The joint team has made another breakthrough in quantum communications. We can now maintain real-time contact across distances that used to require days for message transmission. Amy smiled as she reviewed the research data. Excellent work, Kevin. Make sure you share these findings with all participating institutions. Scientific advancement benefits everyone when knowledge is shared freely. Captain Ellen Price commanded the UES Freedom as it delivered supplies to the newly established human colonies in the Outer Rim. These settlements were no longer mining camps run by alien overseers, but thriving communities where human families could build new lives among the stars. The colonists looked up with pride as Earthships passed overhead, knowing they were protected by their own kind. Ellen landed at New Austin, a farming colony that had been established on a world the Nexari had considered too marginal for profitable exploitation. The human settlers had turned the planet into a garden world that supplied food to a dozen nearby systems. Their success proved that humanity could thrive in places where other species saw only empty wasteland. Captain Price greeted Colony Administrator Carl Watson as Ellen stepped off her ship. Good to see you again. The Harvest Festival starts tomorrow, and you're invited to stay for the celebration. Ellen looked around at the thriving community that had grown from nothing in just 3 months. Children played in the streets while their parents worked in shops and offices that would have been impossible under alien rule. I'd be honored to attend, Carl. It's good to see humans building something for themselves. Ambassador Peter Collins, sat in his new office in the Galactic Council building, reviewing trade agreements that treated humanity as an equal partner rather than a source of cheap labor. The alien diplomats who had once issued orders to him now came seeking his advice on matters affecting their own worlds. Peter opened a communication channel to Admiral Sullivan on Earth. "Kate, the Zephyrian delegation wants to discuss joint training exercises between our fleets. They're hoping to learn from our tactical innovations." Kate's image appeared on the screen, and Peter could see the satisfaction in her expression. "Tell them we're willing to share some basic techniques, but our advanced capabilities remain classified. They need to understand that trust is earned over time, not given freely." The conversation was interrupted by an urgent signal from Lieutenant Sarah Kim, one of the new graduates from Earth's Naval Academy. The young pilot had been assigned to patrol duty in the Beta sector, where reports of unusual activity had been coming in for several days. "Admiral Sullivan," Sarah's voice came through the communication system. "We've detected ships of unknown design moving toward human space. They don't match any known alien configuration, and they're not responding to communication attempts." Kate felt a familiar surge of adrenaline as she processed this information. The galaxy had settled into its new balance, but peace was always fragile among the stars. "Sarah, maintain safe distance and gather all possible intelligence on these vessels. I'm dispatching reinforcements to your position immediately." Peter watched as Kate began issuing orders to fleet commanders across human space. The response was swift and coordinated, with human ships moving to intercept the unknown vessels within minutes. The aliens on the council looked on with newfound respect as they witnessed humanity's military efficiency in action. Commander Greg Hayes led his squadron toward the Beta sector, their advanced fighters ready for whatever they might encounter. His neural link systems gave him perfect control over his ship, and his weapons were loaded with the most advanced ammunition that human technology could produce. Behind him flew pilots who had trained their entire lives for moments like this. The unknown ships turned out to be refugees from a distant galaxy, fleeing a catastrophe that had destroyed their homeworld. They had traveled for years across the void, hoping to find sanctuary among the civilized species they had heard about in ancient transmissions. Their first contact with the galactic community was with human patrol vessels. Sarah Kim guided the refugee ships to a safe harbor on the border world of Haven, where human authorities processed their request for asylum. The aliens were given food, medical care, and temporary housing while their situation was evaluated. It was humanity's first chance to show the galaxy that strength could be used for protection rather than oppression. Admiral Kate Sullivan stood on the observation deck of the UES Enterprise, looking out at the stars that humanity now traveled as equals rather than servants. The hidden fleet had become the shield that protected human worlds and the sword that enforced human rights. The galaxy had learned to respect the species they had once dismissed, and the future held possibilities that would have been unimaginable just months before. Jake Harrison joined her at the viewport, his uniform bearing the insignia of a full captain now. "Admiral, do you think we've really changed things, or are we just waiting for the next crisis?" Kate smiled as she watched human ships moving between the stars, their hulls gleaming with pride and purpose. "Jake, we've proven that nobody can push humanity around anymore. The aliens learned that strength without wisdom leads to defeat, and now they're learning that wisdom without strength leads to irrelevance. The galaxy is better because we revealed who we really are." The hidden fleet flew free at last, and across the galaxy, species that had once looked down on humanity now spoke the name of Earth with respect, admiration, and perhaps just a touch of healthy fear. Emergency sessions began across the galaxy as the alien empires tried to understand what had happened to them. In the Zephyrian capital, military leaders gathered in their war room to discuss the impossible reports coming from every corner of their territory. Human ships had struck at bases that were supposed to be secret. Defense systems that had never failed were now offline. Fleets that had ruled space for centuries were burning wreckage floating between the stars. Admiral Ross Bennett stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution as it broadcast humanity's message to the galaxy. The massive battleship hung in space above the Nexari trade world of Kepler Prime, its weapons pointed at the planet's orbital stations. Ross had been chosen to deliver Earth's demands because his voice carried the authority of someone who had spent 30 years preparing for this moment. "People of the galaxy," Ross began, his words carried by every communication system in known space. "Humanity has lived under your rule for too long. We have been your miners, your soldiers, and your servants. We have died for your wars and worked for your profits while you treated us like children who could not think for themselves. Today that ends." The message continued as displays across the galaxy showed images of human fleets moving between the stars. Ships that the aliens had never seen before filled their screens. Vessels that moved faster and struck harder than anything in their navies. The broadcasts showed human colonies being freed and alien military bases surrendering without firing a shot. "We demand recognition as an equal power in galactic affairs," Ross said. "We demand an end to the exploitation of human worlds and human people. We demand seats on the Galactic Council with full voting rights. You have 3 standard days to respond to our terms." General Taxmore sat in his prison cell aboard the human ship that had captured him. His mighty fleet was gone, destroyed by enemies he had dismissed as primitive insects. The human guards treated him with respect, but he could see the strength in their eyes. These were not the weak beings he had expected to conquer. These were warriors who had been hiding their true nature until the right moment came to strike. The general's communicator activated, and the face of the Dominion High Command appeared on the small screen. Supreme Leader Corax Vel looked tired and worried, his usual confidence replaced by fear and confusion. "General, report on the human military capabilities," the Supreme Leader ordered. Thaxmore felt shame burn in his chest as he spoke. "Supreme Leader, everything we believed about the humans was wrong. Their ships are faster than our best interceptors. Their weapons pass through our shields like they do not exist. Their stealth technology makes them invisible until they choose to attack. We are not fighting primitive miners. We are fighting an advanced military force that has been planning this campaign for years." The Supreme Leader's face grew pale as he processed this information. "How many ships do they have?" "I do not know," the general replied. "They appeared everywhere at once. Our intelligence networks report human vessels in dozens of systems simultaneously. Either they have more ships than all 3 empires combined, or their technology allows them to move between star systems faster than we thought possible." Captain Ellen Price walked through the rescued mining colony on Zarian 4, watching as human families were reunited after years of separation. The alien overseers had kept detailed records of every human worker, treating them like inventory in a warehouse. Now those same records were being used to help the liberated colonists find their loved ones. An elderly woman named Martha grabbed Ellen's hand as she passed. "Captain, is it true? Are we really free?" Ellen smiled and squeezed the woman's hand gently. "Yes, Martha. Earth has come for all of you. No human will ever be forced to work in these mines again." The freed colonists looked at their rescuers with wonder and gratitude. Many had spent so long in the alien-controlled facilities that they had forgotten what it felt like to be treated with dignity. The human soldiers who had liberated them moved with confidence and pride, carrying advanced weapons and wearing armor that made them look like heroes from ancient stories. Dr. Amy Foster reviewed the intelligence reports coming in from across the galaxy as human cyber warfare teams penetrated alien computer networks. The 3 empires were discovering that their most secret information had been compromised for years. Military plans, diplomatic communications, and scientific research data were all in human hands. Amy's teams had used this intelligence to plan the perfect campaign against their former oppressors. Every alien weakness had been identified and exploited. Every defensive system had been studied and countered. The empires were learning that humanity had been preparing for this war while pretending to be their loyal servants. The Valdris Commonwealth convened their Council of Elders in emergency session. The ancient beings who had ruled the galaxy for millennia sat in their crystal chambers, trying to understand how their youngest member species had become their greatest threat. Elder Sainmore, who was over 800 years old, spoke for the council. "The humans have demonstrated capabilities that our best scientists believed were impossible," he said, his voice heavy with concern. Their ships move through space, using technology we do not understand. Their weapons operate on principles our physics cannot explain. We may be looking at a species that is more advanced than we are. The other elders murmured in agreement. The proud Valdris had always believed they were the most sophisticated civilization in the galaxy. Their technology was ancient and tested, their knowledge gained through millions of years of careful study. But the humans had achieved in decades what the Valdris had not accomplished in millennia. Ambassador Peter Collins sat in his office on Kepler Station, no longer pretending to be the humble representative of a weak world. The alien diplomats, who had once treated him like a servant, now approached him with careful respect. The Galactic Council chambers that had echoed with demands and threats against humanity were now silent, waiting to hear Earth's terms for peace. Peter opened his secure communication channel to Admiral Sullivan on Earth. "Admiral, the empires are ready to negotiate. Their fleets are scattered, their confidence is broken, and their leaders are afraid. How do you want to proceed?" Kate's voice came through clearly despite the distance. "Peter, humanity has waited long enough for justice. We will accept nothing less than full equality in all galactic affairs. No more exploitation of human worlds. No more treatment of our people as second-class citizens. The galaxy will learn to respect us, or they will learn to fear us." The three empires began to realize that their old galaxy was gone forever. The Wayuri, humans they had dismissed as primitive, had revealed themselves to be a military power that could strike anywhere and defeat anyone. The mining colonies they had used for cheap labor were now protected by fleets that made their own navies look obsolete. The servants they had taken for granted had become masters of technologies that turned the balance of power upside down. Captain Troy Mitchell reported from Arcturus Station, where Nexari officials were cooperating fully with human occupation forces. "Admiral, the trade masters are offering complete access to their shipping networks and commercial databases. They want to negotiate new agreements based on equal partnership rather than exploitation." Similar reports came in from across human space as the alien empires scrambled to avoid further military action. The Zephyrians offered to withdraw all military forces from human territory. The Nexari proposed new trade deals that would benefit both species equally. The Valdris requested formal diplomatic meetings to discuss humanity's place in galactic civilization. Admiral Kate Sullivan listened to each report with satisfaction. Humanity had revealed its true strength at last, and the galaxy would never again mistake them for weak primitives who could be pushed around. The hidden fleet had emerged from the shadows, and the empires that had once ruled without question were now asking for mercy from the species they had underestimated. News of the battle at Earth spread across the galaxy faster than anyone thought possible. The Nexari Consortium received reports that their Zephyrian allies had been defeated by primitive humans, but the trade masters refused to believe it. The Valdris Commonwealth's ancient computers processed the impossible data that claimed human ships had appeared from nowhere and destroyed a Dominion fleet. Admiral Kate Sullivan sat in her command chair, watching displays that showed human ships moving to their next targets across the galaxy. Phase 2 of the operation was beginning, and it would prove to the alien empires that Earth's victory had not been luck. Captain Troy Mitchell commanded the UES Defiance as it traveled toward Arcturus Station, the largest trade hub in Nexari space. The journey that should have taken weeks was completed in days. Human quantum engines could fold space in ways that alien scientists had only dreamed about. Troy watched his tactical display as Arcturus Station grew larger on his screen. The massive structure was home to millions of beings and controlled trade routes that connected dozens of star systems. Captain Nicole Parker brought the UES Justice out of quantum space near the Valdris homeworld. Her mission was to demonstrate human power without destroying civilian targets. The ancient empire needed to understand that humanity could strike anywhere in the galaxy, whenever they chose. Her stealth systems kept the ship invisible as she moved toward the planet's orbital defense platforms. Commander Greg Hayes led his fighter squadron through the Outer Rim territories where human colonies had suffered under alien rule for decades. The UES Hawk carried liberation forces that would free human workers from the mining operations where they had been treated like slaves. His ships moved between the stars like swift birds of prey, bringing hope to humans who had thought they were forgotten. At Arcturus Station, the Nexari defense fleet detected the approaching human vessel and moved to intercept. Commander Vexcala led 12 fast attack ships that were the pride of the consortium's military. The sleek vessels could outrun most enemies, and their plasma cannons could slice through heavy armor. The commander felt confident that his ships could handle one human vessel, no matter how lucky the humans had been against the Zephyrians. Captain Troy Mitchell watched the alien ships approach and smiled. His tactical officer had complete information about Nexari ship designs, thanks to Dr. Amy Foster's intelligence teams. The alien vessels were fast, but their shields had a critical weakness that human weapons could exploit. Troy opened a communication channel to the enemy commander. Nexari vessels, this is Captain Mitchell of the United Earthship Defiance. You will stand down immediately and allow us to approach the station. Commander Vexcala's laugh came through the channel. Human, you are outnumbered 12-1. Surrender now and we might let you live long enough to return to your primitive world. I tried to warn you, Troy said, and gave his weapons officer the signal to fire. The UES Defiance unleashed a barrage of quantum torpedoes that passed through the Nexari shields like they were not there. The alien ship's defensive systems simply could not stop weapons that operated on frequencies their designers had never considered. 3 Nexari vessels exploded in the first salvo, their plasma cores overloading in brilliant flashes of light. Commander Vexcala stared at his display, in shock. His shields had not even detected the human weapons. His remaining ships fired everything they had at the Earth vessel, but their plasma beams struck powerful defensive screens that absorbed the energy without any visible effect. The human ship moved through his formation like death itself, destroying his vessels one by one with shots that could not be stopped. Within minutes, only the commander's flagship remained. The human captain's voice came through the communication system again, calm and professional. Commander, order the station to surrender, or I will be forced to disable their defensive systems as well. Vexcala had no choice. His proud fleet was space debris, destroyed by a single human ship that had made his best weapons look useless. He sent the surrender signal to Arcturus Station and watched as human boarding craft approached the massive structure. The station's automated defenses tried to fire on the approaching ships, but the human vessels simply ignored the energy beams that struck their hulls. Near the Valdris homeworld, Captain Nicole Parker guided the UES Justice through the planet's orbital defenses without being detected. The ancient empire had built thousands of weapon platforms around their world, each one capable of destroying fleets. But their sensors were designed to detect ships using conventional technology, not the stealth systems that human engineers had developed. Nicole positioned her ship directly above the planet's capital city and disabled her stealth systems. The massive cruiser appeared in the middle of the defensive grid like a ghost becoming solid. Alarms rang across the planet as the impossible sight filled their screens. A human warship was sitting in the most protected space in Valdris territory, and their defenses had never detected its approach. The planetary defense commander tried to fire on the human vessel, but his weapons would not respond. Human hackers had taken control of every system in the defense network, using access codes that Dr. Foster's teams had broken years earlier. The proud Valdris military found themselves helpless in their own space, unable to fire a single shot at the enemy ship that hung above their world like a sword. In the outer territories, Commander Greg Hayes led his liberation forces to the mining worlds where human colonists had worked under alien control. The facilities were guarded by automated systems and alien overseers who treated human workers like machines. Greg's fighters moved through the defensive systems like they were not there, their advanced technology making the alien defenses useless. The UES Hawk landed at Mining Complex 7, where 3,000 humans had spent years digging precious metals from the planet's core. The facility's alien managers watched in terror as human soldiers in advanced armor walked through their security systems. Captain Ellen Price led the rescue teams that freed the miners from their underground prisons. The freed workers stared at their rescuers in amazement. These were not the weak humans that the aliens had described. These soldiers moved with confidence and carried weapons that made them look like warriors from legend. Their armor was sleek and powerful, and their ships filled the sky above the mining complex. "You're from Earth?" asked one of the miners, an old man named Robert who had not seen his homeworld in 15 years. "We're all from Earth," Captain Price replied, her voice warm with emotion. "And we've come to take you home." Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out as human forces struck at targets that the alien empires had thought were completely safe. The liberation fleets freed human colonies that had been cut off from Earth for decades. The attack squadrons disabled alien military bases without destroying them, proving that humanity could show mercy to defeated enemies. The stealth ships appeared in the heart of alien space, demonstrating that nowhere in the galaxy was beyond Earth's reach. Admiral Kate Sullivan received reports from every human commander as Phase 2 reached its conclusion. The alien empires were in complete chaos, their military forces scattered and their confidence shattered. The galaxy had learned that humanity was not the weak species they had believed, and the three great empires were beginning to understand that the balance of power had changed forever. Admiral Kate Sullivan stood in the main command center as displays around her showed Earth's hidden fleet coming to life. The moon's surface began to crack open like an egg, revealing the massive shipyards that had been built inside over the past 20 years. Ships that had never seen starlight started their engines for the first time. The sound of metal moving and engines firing filled the communication channels as humanity's true power began to show itself. Lieutenant Commander Ryan Brooks ran through the corridors of Luna Base toward his assigned ship. The UES Falcon was a fighter bomber that could move faster than anything the aliens had ever built. Ryan had trained for this day in simulators, but now he would fly a real mission against real enemies. His ship was black as space itself, covered with materials that made it invisible to alien sensors. The weapon systems were based on captured Zephyrian technology, but human engineers had made them 3 times more powerful. Captain Lisa Morgan watched from the control room as her ships left their hidden docks for the first time. The UES Thunder was her flagship, a heavy cruiser that looked nothing like the slow, clumsy vessels that Earth showed to the galaxy. Its hull was smooth and curved, designed to move through space like a shark through water. The quantum engines could push the ship to speeds that would surprise even the fast Nexari trade vessels. Dr. Amy Foster sat in her laboratory, sending final intelligence updates to the fleet commanders. Her teams had spent years studying alien weaknesses, and now that knowledge would be put to the test. The Zephyrian ships had thick armor, but it became brittle when hit with certain energy frequencies. The Nexari vessels were fast, but their power systems would shut down if attacked in the right sequence. The Valdris ships were old but tough, yet their computer systems used codes that human hackers had broken years ago. Amy's fingers moved quickly over her keyboard as she sent targeting data to each human ship. The alien empires thought their technology was superior, but they had never faced human creativity and determination. Every alien design had flaws, and humanity had found them all. Above Earth, the first Zephyrian ships appeared in normal space. General Thaxmore commanded the fleet from his flagship, the Destroyer of Worlds. The massive vessel was 5 kilometers long and carried enough weapons to destroy a planet. Behind it came 24 smaller warships, each one powerful enough to defeat what the general believed was Earth's entire space force. The general looked at his tactical display and frowned. His sensors showed only empty space around Earth. There were no human ships rushing to defend their homeworld, no military bases firing defensive weapons. The planet seemed completely unprotected, just as his intelligence reports had predicted. "Scan for human vessels," the general ordered his tactical officer. "They must be hiding behind their moon or near their outer planets." The Zephyrian officer worked at his console for several minutes before looking up with confusion. "Sir, I detect no human military vessels in this system. Their space traffic control is broadcasting normal commercial shipping schedules. There are some mining ships near the asteroid belt, but nothing that appears to be military." General Thaxmore felt satisfaction fill his chest. The humans had not even tried to fight. They would surrender without firing a shot, and he would return to the Dominion as the conqueror of Earth. He opened a communication channel to the human homeworld. "This is General Thaxmore of the Zephyrian Dominion. Humans of Earth, you will surrender control of all military assets immediately, or we will take them by force. You have 1 hour to comply." The response came from an unexpected source. A human voice, calm and confident, filled the communication channel. "General, this is Captain Sam Turner of the UES Vengeance. I suggest you reconsider your position." The general looked at his tactical display again. There was still nothing there except empty space. "Human Captain, we see no ships in this system. Your bluff will not work against the might of the Dominion." "Look again," Captain Turner said. The space around the Zephyrian fleet suddenly filled with human ships. They appeared as if they had been invisible, materializing out of nothing like ghosts becoming solid. The UES Vengeance was directly behind, the general's flagship close enough that its weapons could not miss. Other human ships surrounded the alien fleet, their sleek forms moving with deadly grace. General Thaxmore stared at his display in shock. His sensors had detected nothing, but now they showed more than 50 human vessels in attack positions around his fleet. The ships were like nothing in the intelligence files. They were fast, deadly-looking, and their energy signatures showed power levels that should have been impossible for human technology. Captain Sam Turner's voice came through the communication channel again. "General, your ships are surrounded and outgunned. I recommend that you withdraw from Earth space immediately." The Zephyrian general felt fear creep into his thoughts. These were not the primitive humans he had expected to find. These ships moved like predators, and his fleet was caught in the middle of them like prey. But he was a Dominion general, and he would not be scared by inferior beings. "All ships, open fire," he ordered. "Destroy these human insects." The battle began as Zephyrian. Weapons fired at the human vessels. Bright energy beams crossed space, but they struck only empty vacuum where human ships had been moments before. The Earth vessels moved with incredible speed, dodging attacks that should have been impossible to avoid. Their pilots seemed to know where each shot would be before it was fired. Captain Nicole Parker commanded the UES Justice as it danced between enemy fire. Her ship's stealth systems made it nearly invisible, and her weapons officer had perfect targeting data from Dr. Foster's intelligence files. The Justice fired a single shot that punched through the armor of a Zephyrian destroyer. The alien ship's power core exploded, sending debris across space. Commander Greg Hayes led a squadron of human fighters against the enemy cruisers. His neural link system let him control his ship with thought alone, making movements that no alien pilot could match. His fighters moved like a school of fish, turning and diving together in perfect coordination. Their weapons found weak spots in alien armor that the enemy did not know existed. The Zephyrian fleet began to break apart under the human attack. Ships that had seemed invincible moments before were now burning wrecks floating in space. General Thaxmore watched his tactical display as his proud fleet was destroyed by enemies he had dismissed as weak and primitive. Captain Turner's voice filled the communication channel one final time. "General, you have 30 seconds to order your remaining ships to surrender, or we will destroy them all." The general looked at the 5 ships he had left out of 25. Human vessels surrounded them, their weapons charged and ready to fire. For the first time in his life, General Thaxmore felt completely defeated. These humans were not the helpless miners and soldiers he had expected. They were warriors with technology that made his best ships look like toys. "All ships, cease fire," he said, his voice heavy with defeat. "We surrender." Commander Jake Harrison walked through the metal halls of the UES Liberty, his boots making soft sounds on the floor. The ship was buried 3 kilometers under the Mojave Desert, hidden from alien eyes that watched Earth from space. He had spent 20 years down here waiting for this day. The message on his screen glowed red, and he read it again to make sure he understood. The time for hiding was over. Jake moved to the bridge where his crew worked at their stations. The lights were dim, and the air felt heavy with the weight of earth and rock above them. His officers looked up as he entered, their faces showing they knew something big was happening. Lieutenant Commander Ryan Brooks stood near the navigation console, his young face serious. Captain Lisa Morgan appeared on the main screen calling from Luna Base, where humanity's secret shipyards had been building ships for decades. "Jake, we just got the word," Lisa said, her voice clear despite the distance. "All bases are going to full alert. The aliens finally pushed too hard. Behind her, Jake could see workers moving quickly through the Luna facility. Ships that had never seen sunlight were being prepared for their first flight into open space. The vessels looked nothing like the old, slow ships that Earth showed to the galaxy. These were sleek and deadly, built with technology that would make the alien empires very afraid. On the diplomatic front, Ambassador Peter Collins sat in his office on Kepler Station, reading the same message that Jake had received. He had played his role perfectly for years, making the alien leaders believe that humans were simple and weak. The Galactic Council meetings always went the same way. The three great empires would make demands, and Peter would nod and agree, acting like Earth had no choice but to obey. The Zephyrian Dominion was the strongest military force in the galaxy. Their ships were massive and their weapons could destroy planets. General Thaxmore commanded their fleets with an iron fist, and he believed that humans were useful only as soldiers in dangerous battles. The Nexari Consortium controlled most of the trade routes between star systems. They saw humans as cheap labor for mining operations on worlds where other species would not go. The Valdris Commonwealth was the oldest empire, and they treated humans like children who needed guidance from their wise elders. Peter had learned to smile and bow when the aliens spoke to him. He had watched them divide up human colonies like pieces on a game board. He had listened to them talk about humans as if they were not even in the room. But all the time, he was gathering information that Dr. Amy Foster and her teams used to build better weapons and stronger shields for Earth's secret fleet. Dr. Amy Foster worked in the deep labs beneath the Swiss mountains, studying every piece of alien technology that human agents had stolen over the years. She had found weaknesses in their ship designs that they did not know existed. Their quantum computers had flaws that human hackers could use to break into their systems. Their energy weapons used frequencies that Earth's new shields could block completely. Amy had spent 15 years taking apart alien machines and putting them back together in better ways. Human engineers had improved on every alien design they found. The propulsion systems on Earth's hidden ships could move faster than anything the three empires had built. The weapon systems could punch through alien armor like it was paper. The defensive screens could stop attacks that would destroy entire alien fleets. Back on Kepler Station, Peter Collins received an urgent message from General Thaxmore. The Zephyrian leader's face filled the screen, his reptilian features twisted in anger. "Human ambassador," the general said, his voice rough and threatening. "Your species has served the galaxy well as miners and soldiers, but now we need more from you. Earth must place all human military forces under direct Zephyrian control. You have 3 standard days to comply, or we will be forced to bring peace to your system by other means." Peter kept his face calm, though inside he felt excitement building. This was the moment they had been waiting for. He bowed to the screen and spoke in the humble tone he had practiced for years. "General, I will send your message to Earth immediately. I am sure our leaders will want to discuss this important matter with you." The alien general nodded, satisfied that the weak human would do as he was told. The screen went dark, and Peter immediately sent a coded message to Earth. The message was simple, but it would change everything. Protocol 7 was now active. Admiral Kate Sullivan received the message in her command center deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. She had been Supreme Commander of Earth's Shadow Fleet for 10 years, and she had been preparing for this moment since the day she took command. Around her, displays showed the positions of every hidden ship, every secret base, every weapon platform that Earth had built while pretending to be helpless. Kate looked at the faces of her staff officers. They had all volunteered to spend their lives in the darkness building humanity's true strength while the galaxy believed Earth was weak. Now their sacrifice would pay off. She reached for the red button that would send the activation signal to every human base in the solar system. "This is Admiral Sullivan to all Shadow Fleet units," she said into her microphone. "Protocol 7 is now active. Begin emergence operations immediately. Today the galaxy learns what happens when you threaten Earth's children." 3 kilometers beneath the Mojave Desert, Commander Jake Harrison felt the UES Liberty begin to move for the first time in 20 years. The massive engines came to life with a deep rumble that shook the buried facility. All around the solar system, other ships were beginning their journey to the surface. The time for hiding was finished, and humanity was about to show the galaxy what they could really do.